Libra, welcome to your monthly horoscope for September 2023. In this video, I'm going to walk through some of the energy that you will be moving through for the month of September. And so coming into the month, we have quite a few planets retrograde. We are still moving through that Venus retrograde energy, which Venus is your chart ruler. So you're feeling that Venus retrograde energy more so than most of the other signs. Venus also rules your eighth house of your partner's finances, loans, taxes, inheritance, money coming in from outside resources. So this Venus retrograde may have activated, having to maybe something coming to your attention that has to do with your partner's finances, or maybe having to pay some loans off, or, something around money coming in from outside resources in some way. We also have Mercury retrograde in Virgo, and you have Virgo in the 12th house. And so while Mercury is retrograde here in the 12th house, this is a time where you may need some alone time to reflect, to rethink, to regroup, to just reevaluate, what direction you want to take as far as, maybe you're thinking about, because Mercury rules your ninth house. So maybe you're thinking about going back to school. Maybe you're thinking about taking a course. Maybe you're thinking about traveling. This is also the house of philosophy, astrology. And so, during this Mercury retrograde, maybe you are, even rethinking your belief systems, maybe reevaluating your belief systems in some way, possibly, maybe realizing, certain belief systems you once had are no longer in alignment. And so that is some things you can be moving through with this Venus or with this Mercury retrograde. On September 3rd, we have Venus stationing direct. And so you will feel this, more so than most of the other signs because Venus is your chart ruler. And so, with this Venus retrograde energy and with this Venus station, this is also, affecting you in some way. You may have been, changing up your appearance, changing your, physical appearance, maybe cutting your hair, maybe deciding to work out a little bit more. This is where you can even too be changing up your personality and your character, maybe approaching life somewhat differently. And if this is something that you've really been thinking about during this Venus retrograde, something may click at the time that Venus stations. Venus also ruling your eighth house. If there's anything that you've been moving through with your partner's finances or money coming in from outside resources or loans, this is where something again may click, where now you know the direction that you need to move in, the action that you need to take. On September 4th, we have a Jupiter stationing retrograde here in your eighth house. The interesting thing about this Jupiter retrograde is that Mercury stationed retrograde at this 15 degrees and moved back to 5 degrees the end of April, beginning of May of this year. And Jupiter is going to retrograde over that exact same spot from 15 to 5 degrees of Taurus. So maybe some information was brought to your attention at the end of April, beginning of May, or maybe you had a conversation with somebody, and you're revisiting that in some way, possibly, rethinking that, maybe even, reevaluating an opportunity that came in. There's something here that's attached to this Mercury energy. And so during this Jupiter retrograde, this can also be a time too, where you are, changing your belief systems because of that Mercury retrograde energy. It's really activating that. Maybe rethinking, taking a course, going back to school, traveling. Maybe there's an opportunity that came in for you to travel and you're really deciding to, jump on that opportunity in some way. Jupiter also rules your third house. And so this Jupiter retrograde and Jupiter station on the 4th of September, something may come up around your community, your neighbors, neighborhood, because of this third house activation. This is also the house of communication, so speaking, reading, and writing. And this is also the house of siblings and cousins. And so during this Jupiter retrograde, there may be something, regarding third house themes and topics showing up for you. September 6th, we have the Mercury Cazimi here in your 12th house. So, whatever you've been moving through with this Mercury retrograde energy, around your belief systems or courses or school or, higher education, higher knowledge in some way or traveling, there's something that can click at the time of the Mercury Cazimi. This is almost like a sudden epiphany or a sudden insight, or possibly, some information coming in, or maybe you're having a conversation with somebody and something clicks. So you definitely want to be paying attention on September 6th, to, the conversations you're having or what is showing up for you. September 14th, we have the new moon in Virgo at 21 degrees. And so I know here the moon says 15 degrees, but the moon will reach the 21-degree point, and we will have the new moon right here in your chart in the 12th house. This is a time where you can really set intentions for, something that has to do with your spiritual practice, reprogramming your subconscious beliefs, patterns, habits. This is where, if you become aware of some self-sabotaging or self-undoing behaviors, you can really set intentions to reprogram that energy. And then September 15th, we have Mercury stationing direct. So again, whatever you're moving through with this Mercury energy, where, this 12th house and this 9th house, where, you've been sitting, you've been reflecting, you've been, taking some time away from the world, rethinking, maybe going back to school, taking a course, maybe thinking about astrology, because astrology is in the 9th house, or even thinking about traveling in some way. This is when Mercury stations, this is when, there can be clarity around that, or maybe you're knowing the direction you want to move in or the action that you want to take. September 16th, we have Venus forming a square to Jupiter. Now, there's been this Venus saga we've been moving through. And so this will be the third time that Venus forms a square to Jupiter. And so this is an energy that you've been moving through around, your partner's finances, loans, taxes, inheritance, money coming in from outside resources, money coming in some way, and so this is where there can be an annoyance showing up for you, just something that you need to move through, something brought to your attention that you need to deal with. When we're talking about your partner's finances, this can be, something just showing up that maybe your partner has to deal with, or, take action on, with his finances, something along those lines. Or maybe, there's a bill or something that didn't get paid that is brought to your attention. This can also have to do with, because Venus is your chart ruler, this is where, something can really be showing up for you. This is where there can be some type of energy blockage, or, a stop or a no to something. This can be where maybe you plan to go get your hair cut and the hairdresser cancels, something like that. Sometimes it's literally just some simple, thing like that. However, this can be, felt and obviously show up for everyone a little bit differently. But because Venus is your chart ruler, it absolutely can be felt. And again, because Jupiter rules your third house, maybe you're having, a little dispute with a neighbor. Maybe there's something within your community that you're having to address. Maybe there's something, with a sibling or a cousin. And then on September 19th, we have this really interesting energy, and I've been bringing this up to all of the signs. We have the sun forming an opposition to Neptune, but we have this beautiful kite configuration. Now, the sun is our soul's expression. That is our life force energy. And we have this trine to Uranus. It's not exact, but it's there. This trine to Pluto, and then this opposition to Neptune, and then Neptune's connecting, it's this kite configuration. This is really beautiful for, enhancing psychic abilities, enhancing your intuition, tapping into your intuition, doing, any spiritual work, really. This is really beautiful energy for tapping into the energies around you, raising your frequency, raising your vibration. And then on September 20th, we have the sun form that trine to Pluto exact. And so, Pluto's very powerful. Pluto can also represent, really powerful psychic energy. And so this, September 19th and September 20th is really a beautiful day to meditate, to tap into the energies around you, raise your frequency, raise your vibration, do intuitive work, do any spiritual work. September 23rd, we have the sun enter Libra. So now we have the sun in your first house. We are in Libra season. And so this is a time where maybe, there's a lot of focus on you, possibly redirecting your energy in some way to maybe you're focusing on your appearance, maybe you're focusing on your personality and career, and not career, character. This is where you can really just be shifting and changing that energy, reprogramming yourself in some way. So, for example, sometimes when the sun is in the first house with me, I know that I will start, saying some new affirmations, really trying to bring something new to myself because I have the sun in the first house. So, I really amplify that manifestation energy where I start to say, certain affirmations where, I'm bringing in abundance, I'm bringing in, the self-discipline, the self-control, the motivation I need to put into my business, something along those lines where you can really, enhance yourself in some way because it is the first house. It's the house of the self. So while the sun is moving through your first house, you can really be manifesting for yourself. September 28th, we have Venus forming a square to Uranus. So that energy I was talking about earlier. Now, because Venus is your chart ruler, you are ruled by Venus. This can be something, maybe you're feeling a lot of anxiety on this day. So towards the end of the month, you can be feeling very anxious. So you might want to watch for that, possibly do a lot of earthing, ground, drink a lot of water, eat a lot of rooted vegetables, a lot of foods that are grown in the earth that are high vibrational. This can really help with raising your frequency, raising your energy, and really being able to stabilize, that anxiety, balance the body out. Because when, Uranus rules the electrical systems within our body, Uranus rules our nervous system. And so, in our chart ruler, when the moon is connecting to Uranus, I always talk about it, but also when the chart ruler is connecting to Uranus is really when we can feel this as well, because the chart ruler is ruling us as a person, it rules our first house. And so this is when, you do really want to watch for anxiety, for panic attacks, especially if you already struggle with this. This is also when something, sudden can show up that you have to move through, yourself, whether it is, something unexpected with your, physical body, like maybe you are feeling, sore. I mean, I wouldn't say, actually, it could be inflammation because we have Mars in the first house. This could be where maybe you're feeling, more pain within the body than usual. It can definitely show up in that way, but this can also show up with something that has to do with your partner's finances, money coming in from outside resources, because Venus also rules that eighth house that has to do with your partner's finances, loans, taxes, inheritance. Something may come up at this time that's just a little unexpected that needs to be addressed. And then September 29th, we have the full moon in Aries right here in your seventh house. And so the seventh house rules, relationships, partnerships, close personal connections. And this full moon is actually at 6 degrees 0 minutes. So don't pay attention to the 7. The new moon is at 6 degrees. And so at the time of this full moon, you can be, having a lot of focus on your relationships. There's a lot of focus on your partnerships. This is also a time where you can start to see the manifestations from the new moon in Aries that we had the beginning of the year back in spring. If there was any intentions that you set at the end of March, beginning of April, now is when you can see the manifestations of those intentions. Libra, I really hope that this horoscope helps you navigate the energy for September. And thank you so much for joining me, and I will connect with you in the next one.